Now, MacArthur is the owner of a ship called the Parramatta, and it's about to get him into trouble. The colony has a law that says that any ship owner who allows a convict to escape forfeits a bond of £800. Now, this is a whopping amount of money. And a convict has escaped while the Parramatta was in Tahiti. When it sails back into Sydney, MacArthur wriggles out of trouble by renouncing his share in the vessel, leaving the captain and his crew destitute. When the captain comes to Bligh looking for help, it's clear he's come to the wrong man.
Governor, sir, my name's Captain John Glenn. I'm skipper of the Parramatta.
I know who you are, you scum.
Well, I've been a week out in the cove, hove to, with no provision.
What does that matter to me? You took a prisoner from here and released him God knows where.
I never, sir. It was all done behind me back. Now Mr. MacArthur's designed us and we're all sitting out there rotting with now...
Take your medicine, you scurvy swine. Now get your useless carcass out of my sight.
Bligh and his team have hooked their fish. The Judge Advocate, Richard Atkins, issues a summons accusing MacArthur of abandoning his crew, forcing them to come ashore illegally. And when MacArthur fails to respond, Atkins issues a warrant for MacArthur's arrest.
John MacArthur?
Well, you know who I am, Mr. Oakes.
I have a warrant for your arrest.
Well, Mr. Oakes, you will inform the persons who have sent you with this warrant, which I now have a copy of, that I will never submit to the tyranny attempted until I am forced. I treat this with loathing and contempt, as I do the persons who have directed it to be executed. Do you understand that, Mr. Oakes? You tell them that this warrant can only be meant as an insult to me. Now, they will probably be angry with you for disappointing their expectations, but you may tell them in your excuse that I am a sort of gentleman you do not much like to force into anything, and that if they send you with another warrant, they should provide you with an armed force, because I looked in a desperate ill humour.
The next day, on the road to Sydney, Oakes is waylaid by MacArthur's 18-year-old son, Edward, sent by his mother to relieve the chief constable of a damning note. Oakes refuses to hand it over. It's evidence of sedition and ripe for court. Meanwhile, Bligh is tearing down people's houses. Some of the soldiers and other settlers have built houses in the centre of the town, which was supposed to be kept for public space. Previous governors have turned a blind eye, but not Bligh, and he doesn't care whom he fights.
Now, Bligh is determined to remodel parts of the town, especially the area around Government House. He literally sends in the heavy brigade, chucks people out and pulls the houses down, all in the name of the public good.
But Bligh does have supporters. Many of the smaller settlers living in the Hawkesbury River area north of Sydney are more than happy to see the Corps and their friends brought down a peg or two. Helping to make the colony a fairer place has been one of Bligh's main objectives.
Would you hold this, please?
I've broken the officers' monopoly on rum. I've stood up to their greed for land, and I do believe the people acknowledge that, Mary.
They're convicts. They do as they are told.
Indeed. But one day these lands will be covered with farms where ordinary folk can prosper. Damn MacArthur.
Bligh is right. The colony is fast leaving its convict origins behind, but his sea captain's dream of hamlets and hedgerows and honest simple folk is a fantasy. In the Industrial Revolution, the giant mills of England are hungry for wool delivered by the shipload. MacArthur knows that the future belongs to men of property like him. The next fight will be about a fence. Bligh is resuming land in Sydney town he says was wrongly allocated to settlers by previous governors. MacArthur's section is fenced in, but not for long.
You come to take my fence down, have you?
I have, sir, by order of the governor.
Well, as you can see, it's hardly in good condition.
My instructions are, should any rail be fixed, it will be my duty to take them down. And that is what I will do, sir, by order of the governor. Precisely what I will do, sir! When the axe is laid to the root, the tree will fall.
But MacArthur has no intention of falling anywhere. He's seen governors come and go, and he knows back in Britain there are rumblings about how much power a governor should have anyway.
In England, one of the most powerful advocates of democracy is Jeremy Bentham, and he's in no doubt that the governors of New South Wales are a pack of despots.
The governor issues a proclamation. Whoever defies me, I will punish. And how shall this miscreant be tried? Why, by a court appointed by the governor himself. This is not law. This is the basest act of despotism.
It's thoughts like these that move men to rebellion. But Major George Johnston, the commander of the New South Wales Corps, has no stomach for mutiny.
Talking about treason. I was there when Bligh's henchman took to poor Whittle's house and tore it to pieces. Tore it down in front of his crying wife and children.
Yes, I heard. The men were obeying orders, doing their duty.
And the man's a martinet, failed Navy man. Blythe, the bounty, for heaven's sake. He has treated the army with nothing but contempt. The men are ready to tear him to pieces.
You were talking about treason?
No. No, I'm talking about honour. We may have started out a penal colony, but by God, I will not be a prisoner to this man's will.
On the 25th of January 1808, MacArthur appears in the criminal court on charges of sedition over the Parramatta ship incident and of resisting arrest.
On the bench are 6 officers of the New South Wales Corps and the Judge Advocate Richard Atkins. The officers act as magistrates hearing the case. What follows is a shambles, orchestrated by John MacArthur.
I propose to read the indictment against John MacArthur, Esquire. Would the defendant please rise?
I stand only to object most strenuously to the presence of you, sir, sitting in judgment of me.
Mr. MacArthur, would you please be quiet and allow me to read the indictment against you?
No, sir, I will not.
You will, sir. Sit down and shut up.
I propose the Judge Advocate shut up and let Mr. MacArthur vent his mind without interruption.
Gentlemen, I do not deserve to stand before you here today. Indeed, no man deserves to be treated as I have been treated. I stand here, the victim of vicious and cruel designs, by men of evil mind and deed. Despite my pleadings, I've still not been able to read the charges laid against me.
They've only just been drawn up.
Yes, precisely. Concocted at the 11th hour by the convict George Crossley, aided by this poltroon, the Judge Advocate, who, having accused me, now presumes to sit in judgment of me. Now, of course, the Judge Advocate has long acted both as my judge and my prosecutor. And it goes without saying that he is very interested in obtaining a verdict against me.
What's he talking about? Some time ago, MacArthur bought a promissory note off another settler, an IOU signed by Atkins, and he's kept it all this time for just this eventuality.
Which I am prepared to pay. But you, sir, are demanding interest. This court is now adjourned.
This man is indebted to me, and yet, despite my entreaties, refuses to honour a promissory note held in my favour.
Now MacArthur takes the stage and, in a masterful piece of political spin, denounces Bligh's autocratic rule.
You have the eyes of an anxious public upon you, trembling for the safety of their property, of their liberty, of their lives. To you has fallen the lot of deciding a point which perhaps involves the happiness or misery of millions.
Millions? New South Wales has only 7,000 white people in it. But it sounds good.
It is the officers of the New South Wales Corps to whom the administration of justice is committed, and who, that is just, has anything to dread.
The magistrate sent a message to Governor Bligh, demanding that he find a replacement for Atkins, or they will appoint someone themselves. In the space of a morning, MacArthur has reduced the colony's court system to a farce. New South Wales is on its way to a military rebellion.
They said the most foul things about you, sir, and they didn't spare me either.
Damn their eyes!
They wouldn't let me speak, and they refused to deliver up my court papers.
How did they get them?
I left them behind.
You're a bloody fool, man!
MacArthur and his cronies will do nothing without hatching a plot first. It's an outrage.
Surely they wouldn't dream of such a thing.
Oh, they would dream of it, Governor. They would dream it wide awake while talking to your face.
We'll start with the magistrates. I'll dismiss them. Every officer on that bench, I'll throw them in irons. We'll see how they judge that.
While the rebel magistrates wait for an answer from Governor Bligh, he calls on the military commander, Major George Johnston, to intervene. But there appears to have been a slight accident.
What does he damn well mean?
He's unable to see, sir. He said it would endanger his life.
Did he explain in a note?
He has injuries. His leg, I think.
Oh, he writes with his foot, does he?
He does look bruised, sir. He fell out of his carriage going home last night.
What?
He was on his way home from the Corps' mess dinner and he seems to have taken a tumble.
What?
Classic case of drink driving, or maybe just a very convenient excuse.
He fell out of his gig, sir.
What in blazes am I to do? My Corps commander is making me pay for enjoying himself too much. Do you think I should suffer such damnable insolence?
He seems most determined not to see you, Excellency.
Bligh just doesn't get it. Johnston's absence is ominous. Within 24 hours of MacArthur's trial collapsing, this tiny community has been pushed to the brink of a military coup. Bligh now charges the rebel magistrates, officers under Johnston's own command, with treason, a crime punishable by death. The Governor is now set on a collision course with the New South Wales Corps, with the numbers stacked massively against him. Johnston is determined to regain control of the 800 very angry men under his command. Bligh inflames the situation by arresting MacArthur and locking him in jail.
Events come to a head around 5 p.m. on the 26th of January 1808, an anniversary we now celebrate as Australia Day. Johnston meets the rebel magistrates. He's made his decision.
Hold your tongues!
Gentlemen, we have to block his path to the Hawkesbury.
The Corps are in a fury. Yet again, wild Captain Bligh has impugned the honour of the army, and the men are talking mutiny.
We're together in this.
Bligh himself may try to mobilise his own supporters among the small settlers out on the Hawkesbury. In defiance of Bligh, Johnston releases MacArthur from prison and takes control of the rebellion, which is rapidly unfolding.
Gather your men, form ranks, and fix bayonets. Yes, sir. Take your firelocks! Shoulder, firelocks!